you will not be able to be appointed to any public office. And 3, there is a possibility that you may be followed for the criminal offenses that attach to the grounds upon which you are impeached. And any reasonable person will want to do this. Whether or not you succeed is another question altogether. So to that extent, it must be understood why Rigathi Gachagua is taking this legal action.
All right.
I believe in the unlikely event that the courts were to make any decision in his favor, what he will do is say, okay, fine, I've proved to Kenyans that I was right, but nonetheless, I cannot work with Dr. William Samoei Ruto. I hereby tender my resignation.
It's very interesting, you know, the angle you have taken.
Yes.
But let me read what John Njomo, the lawyer for Gachagua, said in as far as the speed of how these cases are being filed is concerned. He refers to this as lightning speed, with which the case was filed at the High Court in Nairobi and another in Kerugoya. And he says they were taken over by Justices Eric Ogola, Anthony Murima, and Freda Mugambi, and gave directions for the matter to be heard tomorrow. Now, according to this legal team, and led, and of course, represented by John Njomo, there's bias even in how fast this particular, cases are being filed. Does that have a weight to bring in tomorrow to say that that was pretty much done? Perhaps that causes the bias that they're referring to.
Listen, this is a serious enterprise that must be concluded very fast, as we have indicated in the previous discussions we had.
But you said we have 14 days?
We have 14 days.
Yes. What's the hurry?
Why should there be a hurry if the courts are working speedily? We want matters determined quickly. And they're the ones who went to court on a certificate of urgency.
Yes.
They cannot complain that the matters are being determined speedily. And as we've seen, 14 days is not a long period of time. So the earlier these matters are processed in terms of giving directions, getting all the replies and legal arguments together, the better. So that the courts can retreat and utilize, let's say, 5 to 7 days to write a decision.
All right. Yeah. So what you're saying here is this does not hold any water?
No, it doesn't hold any water. We've seen even cases where judges sat on Saturday. I remember a case where Justice the late Majanja was directed by Chief Justice William Mutunga to sit on a Saturday and handle an urgent matter. But fundamentally, they have come to court under urgency. Let the urgency continue to the expeditious conclusion of this dispute. We want it determined once and for all. And I believe it is even in their best interest. And to touch on the public interest,
yes,
as I've said, based upon the President of the United States of America and South Africa, you cannot prevail upon this issue longer than necessary. It will create a catastrophe. And I've just depicted in a very simplistic way, what will we do if we have to succeed the existing president?
All right.
And the courts cannot leave that issue to remain undetermined longer than necessary.
One last question, however, as we close, Wakili. What happens if Rigathi Gachagua, Kota Prasa, resigns right now? What happens with the courts? Are we done? We're done for?
It wouldn't change anything because it's already been impeached. It will just save the courts the judicial time and the Kenyan public the agony and anxiety of having a former deputy president fighting the president.
So right now the word resign ended the day the Senate declared him impeached?
Yes.
He does not have any window except to have the courts, save him. Otherwise, he's an impeached deputy president.
Yes, he's been removed from office.
What are your closing remarks then in your analysis as a legal practitioner? Do you think he has a chance in court?
First and foremost, when this motion was brought before the National Assembly, many of us who adhere to the Constitution were of the view and still hold the view that it was a good process. And we value this decision because it has lowered the threshold of removing a leader elected or appointed from office. Now it's incumbent upon the court now to give us direction on whether this is the standard that we'll use or they're going to obliterate the standard. So far, it's a good standard. And moving forward, let that test be there because it will be useful for the people of Kenya to inquire onto the propriety, accountability, and responsibility of all its leaders. Let's not lose focus and be sidetracked by the sympathy-seeking requests of those who may rightfully or wrongfully think that one person is being targeted. Let the process go on. Let us test the systems. We have tested the National Assembly, we have tested the Senate, now let us test the court. The test is on the table of the judges. I do not envy them, but if I was them, I will determine this issue speedily. We cannot live in stagnation longer than necessary.
Right.
In the contest between the Deputy President, former, and the President, a resolution must always be found in favor of protecting the nation.
Thank you very much, Nelson Havi, Wakili, an advocate and also former LSK president, for always creating time to be here. We'll follow up this with you again, Wakili.
Asante.
To see how it turns out.
Away.
You're a phone call away. Thank you. Thank you very much. And even as you keep sending in your feedback, we want to close the bulletin